Welcome
to the Lawyer Human Show. That's your host, Shreya Lay.
That's your host, Colin Lay, and we are co-founders of Lay Roots, a law firm based in Seattle, but serving clients everywhere.
And that makes us partners in life and business.
As you can imagine, co-owning a business with your partner can be both really awesome and really challenging. So come along with us as we interview other partner-owned businesses and talk to each other about the roller coaster that is life, marriage, and working together. Colin.
Shreya.
I'm sorry. I just laugh now every time I see you. You make me so happy. We are talking about communication and transparency, but also mostly just communication styles, because people may not know this, but Colin and I have very different communication styles. I don't know if you've picked up on it from this show, but Colin is a little bit more the strong silent type.
True.
He's becoming more and more comfortable around you, our audience of 3. So he's been a little more chatty lately. But
yes,
typically I am the chattier one.
I mean, look, first of all, it's a personality thing, right? Is how I was raised, is how I was born. You just can't toss that out. You just got to learn to work with it.
Yeah. So let's just set the scene here. When we go to Colin's family's house, it's very peaceful.
Oh, yeah. You could read a book.
People are reading books.
Yeah.
People are silently together reading books on separate couches or rooms. And this is how they enjoy their time together a lot of times.
Together, alone.
Yes. And if you go to my house, you are never alone. And there's never silence.
No.
It's never.
Screaming, yelling.
People talking over each other at the dinner table.
You can feel free to talk with someone from one end of the house to the other.
Yes.
You just holler.
Yeah.
Just holler at them.
It's true. Yeah, it's very true. And so growing up in these 2 disparate backgrounds and houses, we very clearly have different communication styles. It was frustrating to me to no end when we first started dating that when something would happen or something would come up that I was upset about or just wanted to talk about, I want to talk about it right then. And I want to talk about everything about it. I want to hear feedback. I want to have a discussion. And Colin would just sit there silently. And it took me a while to realize that it's not that he wasn't listening to me or taking my thoughts seriously. It was that he wanted to ruminate on it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's active listening plus active avoidance. It's a combo, Shreya. It's an advanced level of communication.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. But you can imagine that we have, now that we've been together for almost 12 years.
Yeah. 12.
And we have, and let me tell you something.
Longest years of my life.
Let me tell you something. When you are just in a relationship together, but you don't have a business together, there are so many ways I feel like you can avoid talking about things. You don't actually have to talk about a lot of the hard stuff. You can avoid it. But when you have that business together too, somebody has to make a decision on things and it's affecting your livelihood and you better frickin' talk about it. And so we have had to learn how to talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we have someone who's more introverted and someone who's more extroverted. I'm pointing here. You can guess who the fingers are pointing
for the
towards.
record,
Yeah.
I am the introvert, and Shreya pointed at herself for the extroversion traits.
Yes. And so we have these different personality types. I'm getting very animated over here. I just knocked into my computer. We have these different personality types. We have different communication styles. And so when things are happening in our life and business, how do we overcome this gap? Now, for me, over the years, I have learned that sometimes you don't need to say everything that comes into your head right at the moment that it pops into your head. Sometimes you can just wait a little bit and think about it.
That's a filter, right? It's called a filter.
It's called a filter. I've learned to have a filter. It has, thank you, Colin, because I am serious. I'm thanking you. I think it has made me a better attorney
Ooh.
and a better partner and friend to people in my life.
You're welcome.
So I've learned that, and that sometimes it's okay that I can just say things to Colin that I need to say, and then I can be patient and wait. He will get back to me when he's ready.
Just randomly.
Hours later.
Just respond. Oh, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you're responding to that question from 3 hours ago without any sort of like...
Yeah.
I hope people can hear the rain.
I hope so too. It sounds lovely.
It's been pouring rain here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It stews around up here, running through all my filters. I just got more of them than you. Mm-hmm. And it runs around and then it's like, blah.
And then sometimes if I really need an answer, I just keep bothering you about it. Mm-hmm. I'll just check in every 15 minutes or so.
That's when you yell at me.
Is it? Is it yelling?
No. It's more like, Colin, answer me. It's like, oh, okay. Please repeat yourself.
Yeah. No. What about you, Colin? Have you learned to be more open being around me, do you think? Do you think it's affected your communication at all?
I don't know. Maybe?
It's okay. I can be the one that's done all the compromising here.
I didn't want to fess up to that. I feel like you've learned to live with me.
Oh.
I don't know. Have I?
I think you have.
Okay.
I feel like you've become more comfortable voicing your thoughts and opinions and stories through the years.
Less avoidance, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Look at me. All that coaching is paying off.
Coach Shreya?
Yeah.
So we have this ongoing...
Is that going to be a theme of our whole show is the suffering, the scars from...
the coaching industry? No, I was about to talk about how when we were training for the Seattle to Portland bike race, we started having this ongoing joke because Colin would get a wild hair and decide to take me on these training rides that were awful, like find the hilliest section of Seattle and go up and down these hills. And so...
Gotta train on hills.
It's true. And so whenever Colin gets in these wild hairs or he gets in this training mode, I call him Coach Colin. And so now I wonder if when I am trying to train you to communicate better, I'm Coach Shreya.
Well, you know what, Shreya? Now
More
that you mention it. Yes, more effectively. I feel like, so Shreya's our word lady here at the law firm. And when we need the right words, Shreya steps in. And so she will often review my communications. But lately, as time has gone on, you've had to do less and less editing.
That is true.
My words.
I have noticed.
Because I've been channeling my inner Shreya.
Oh, see?
So how about that?
There we go. So it has been working.
Well, and you know what? So I must have improved. I must have, because it used to be sometimes I had to put my thoughts in writing to you.
Yes,
I haven't had to do that in a long time.
A very long time.
Yeah. Look at me. I've grown. I've developed.
Yeah. Good for you. Applause for Colin.
Got ready with the sound effects that time.
Well, I don't know. Is this podcast just going to be a love fest?
Well, I mean, If you want me to say something nasty about you, I can.
Can you, though?
No, I couldn't. It might just be love. I mean, so we were speaking with another couple, partner in life and business. And they talked to other partners in life and business as well.
Yeah, it's true.
And they said that, what was the conversation? We were talking about how the people we speak to, they're like, oh, they have like great things to say about each other. And it's a big love fest.
Yeah.
What you were saying, you know, maybe they talk about the speed bumps they hit and the struggles they have sometimes, but ultimately, you know, they end up loving working together and it's going great. And they pointed out that, well, because the people who can't figure that out or don't have that situation, they just don't end up.
They don't do it anymore.
Yeah, they don't work together anymore, or maybe they're not a couple at all anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like we've self-selected. We've been filtered down, you know, from the top level. We've shooken down to the fine grains of sand.
Yeah, the diamonds.
Yes. All the rocks and crusties
For sure.
have been pulled out.
And this is not to say that we haven't had times where we've had arguments or where we disagree or have had rough patches in communication with each other and we've been frustrated with one another. There have definitely been those times.
I have raised my voice before.
Yes.
So has Shreya.
Yeah, probably me more often.
But I'm louder when I do it.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny.
That has been a constant problem in my life. This is, well, I guess that probably stems from avoiding things. Because then once I finally bubble over, you know, it's entertaining to people.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, everyone gather around. Listen to
Colin's mad.
He's venting. And everyone's just like smiling at me. And they're like, go on, Colin. Let it out.
They're cheering you on.
Yeah.
They're cheering you on for expressing yourself. Anyway, my point was that we have had these rough patches of communication, but we have developed tools and tactics along the way. And maybe as a way to close this out, I hadn't thought about this. This is a spur of the moment thing. Maybe as a way to close this out, I can share some of my tips.
Throw them down, Shreya. Give us your top tips.
So one, I would say, is to be understanding that different people communicate comfortably in different ways. And if you want to have open and honest communication with your partner, to also be open to these different types of communication. Like Colin was saying, that when we first met, he was far more comfortable expressing difficult emotions in writing.
It was a difficult message, so it was a DM. I'll send you those DMs.
That's a dad joke. And so maybe, and then sometimes for me, I knew that Colin had that difficult time expressing himself. So I didn't want him to say anything, but I was needed to say my piece. I wasn't going to do it in writing. And so I would preface the conversation with, I'm going to say this thing. I don't want you to respond. I want you to think about it. And then you're going to get back to me after you've had a chance to sort through your emotions. And so I would say my piece and then we would, you know, come back to it.
After I would cry in the closet.
I didn't see that.
Oh, it didn't happen then. If a man cries in the closet, did it happen?
Has he really cried? And okay, so I guess that was meet the person where they're at. Mm-hmm. That was one tip. Mm-hmm. The other is maybe to pick your battles.
Yeah.
Like you don't always have to be right. You know, we learned that from that Four Agreements book. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes there are things that are less important to you and it's not really worth fighting over it.
Don't you give more leeway to what's what kingdom, what area the person is in. Oh,
True.
what am I saying?
So that could be another tip that's like related to it, is to divide and conquer, right?
Right.
So that you're each masters of your own domain.
Yeah, so I get extra weight for all the software decisions.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, whatever I'm focused on, I get a little more weight my way.
Yeah. And same for me.
Yeah.
There have been times where Colin wants to weigh in on something that is in my realm, and I tell him that it does not concern him.
Go away, Colin.
Yeah.
I'm good at looking over his shoulder, Shreya. That's the top skill on my resume.
Is it?
Yes.
We're going to have a great time finding jobs if this business ever goes kaput.
Over shoulder observations.
A+.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think those are it as far as tips. We'll have to think about it some more.
How many tips was that, Shreya?
3.
Oh, 3 tips.
Yeah. Divide and conquer. Meet the person where they're at. And pick your battles.
There you go.
Yeah.
3 tips from our host, Shreya Lay.
Woo woo. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Lawyer Human Show. If you liked it and want to hear more from us, please subscribe, write us a little review. We'd really appreciate it.
To learn more about us, check us out on the socials, Lay Roots on YouTube or Lay Roots Legal, Facebook, and Instagram.
Woo woo. And thank you to our producer extraordinaire, Populous Radio. They are awesome, and you can check out some of their other shows and more about them at populousradio.com.